Welcome to rSlash, Am I the Butthole, where OP shows her family her adult toys. Am I the butthole for telling my therapist lies because I suspected she was telling my husband what I was telling her during our sessions? I started seeing a therapist 6 months ago because I had postpartum depression. At first, she really helped me, but then I noticed on 2 occasions my husband mentioned things that I hadn't told him, but I had confided in my therapist. Since I had no proof and I didn't want to accuse either of them, I decided to tell my therapist lies that I knew that he would confront me on if I heard them to see if I was being delusional or not. The more I lied to her, the more suspicious I became, since even things that made my husband look awful was challenged by her and twisted to make him look good. It took a while for him to confront me, but he did. At first, he never believed that I was lying during those sessions, but when I finally convinced him that I was, he was still furious at me. He said that he only wanted to make sure that I was okay, and he hadn't been using the therapist to spy on me. Am I the butthole? Okay, this feels illegal, but I don't know if it's actually illegal. I'm sure at the bare minimum that this is like an ethics violation and that the therapist can 100% get her license revoked. So, OP, what I would advise is that you report the therapist to whatever board or committee oversees this because she has no business being a therapist. I think you can actually sue her too, but I'm not certain about that. A lot of people, a bunch of people down in the comments are wondering if OP's husband is sleeping with the therapist. And I will admit I had that thought too, but really we don't have the evidence here to really come to that conclusion. It's possible that the therapist is just a grossly incompetent therapist, or maybe that the husband is slipping her extra money to get information from her. Either way, she has no business being a therapist. So report her, get her fired, or get her license revoked or whatever. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your husband 3 out of 5 buttholes and your therapist 4 out of 5 buttholes because she broke the most important foundation of being a therapist, which is confidentiality. Am I the butthole for telling my grandparents and relatives that I didn't move out for college? I moved out because I got kicked out when I turned 18? I'm an 18-year-old guy. A few weeks ago it was my birthday, and the second that I turned 18, as in literally at midnight on my birthday while I was sleeping in my room, my dad knocked on the door and turned the lights on. He pulled my blanket off and told me, "Get up and get out of my house. You're 18 now." I already knew that I was going to be kicked out at 18 because my mom and dad often mentioned to me in the house, "When you're 18, you're out of the house." Or they'd say something like, "I can't wait till your mother and I get some alone and quiet time when you leave the house at 18. They already had plans to kick me out, so I knew that it was coming. But I wasn't too worried because I have a good amount of money saved up, about $5,000 that I earned from freelancing on the side. I've been making a decent income off of that as well, and I'm doing it full time right now. I can afford an apartment in my area, as well as some essentials and some nice stuff as well. So the day that I got kicked out, I packed all my stuff in a suitcase, and I left. I slept the night at my best friend's house. The next day, I woke up and arranged for an apartment through a landlord that I personally know. By now, I have my own apartment and I'm living by myself. Today, I had a group FaceTime call where my grandparents, aunt, uncle, mom, dad, etc. were all on the FaceTime call. My grandpa asks, "So, OP, your father told me that you moved out to attend college. Which college are you attending?" I told my grandpa, "No, Grandpa, I didn't move out to attend college. I moved out because I was kicked out." My grandpa's face immediately turned from a happy, smiling face to an angry, shocked face. And he basically went off on my mom and dad. This man said cuss words that I'd never even heard of before. Lol, he scolded my parents for 2 hours live on FaceTime with all of our relatives on the group FaceTime call. After the group FaceTime ended, my mom and dad gave me a call personally, and they were pissed. They said, "Never before has your grandpa insulted us the way he did today, and it's because of you, you butthole." Then they started cussing me out, and they finally ended the call. So, am I the butthole for telling my grandparents that I got kicked out? The fact that your grandpa was so upset about this makes me assume, now I don't have the evidence to back this up, but I assume that your parents got much more leeway when they turned 18. Right, I'm gonna guess your dear old pop got to stay well after the 18th birthday, maybe 19, 20, 21. I'd be sure to ask your grandpa about that. And besides, your parents lied to your grandpa because they knew that what they did was despicable and embarrassing. Your parents are douchebags, OP. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your parents 3.5 out of 5 buttholes. And I'm giving your grandpa 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm glad he's got your back. Am I the butthole for letting my mother-in-law and sister-in-law find our adult bedroom toys because I suspected they snooped in my drawers? I'm a 27-year-old woman and my husband is 32. We dated for 6 years and we've been married for 4 years. We have a 3-year-old baby boy, and since we don't plan on having more kids, I told my husband that I wanted to get my boobs redone because I wanted them more perky and I had surgery last year. My mother-in-law has always been sniffy because my husband is her only son. We've gone low contact over the years because she's overbearing with him and dismissing with me. Things got a little better when our baby was born, but after surgery, oof. It's like I wrote on my forehead, "Look at my boobs, I want to cheat on my husband." She's always implying that I do it for male validation. Yeah, your sons. That I'll leave my husband, that I look like a hooker because I wear stuff that shows cleavage, that I should have gotten them smaller, everything. She also complains about my clothes and underwear a lot because no married woman with a child should dress that way. And yeah, that's what stung me because how could she know? I suspect that she's been going in my drawers, but my husband told me that she could never. She made a comment about a cute set of lingerie that shows basically everything, and I was confused. I asked how she knows that I have it, and she said that she saw it in my washing machine, but I prefer to wash my sets by hand so the lace lasts longer. Anyway, we recently changed our bedroom, and I had an idea to put an end to this. When I was restocking my drawers, I used one in my vanity to put all of my husband and mine's adult toys. We have a few sets, and I also included a dirty letter that he wrote to me once. My mother-in-law visited us a few times and said nothing, so I did feel bad for accusing her. But yesterday, she was here with my sister-in-law, and my husband and I were in the kitchen cooking for them. We heard my mother-in-law calling us, and when we went to our room, they were standing next to my open drawer. I just snorted, looked at my husband and said, "See, she snoops." My husband got red in the face, berated my mother-in-law and my sister-in-law, and they both left after calling me indecent. My husband is mad at them, but he's mad at me too, because he says that I shouldn't have set a trap for his family and is saying that we three need to apologize to each other, so maybe I'm the butthole? Well, see, that's the thing about a trap, right? A trap only works if someone falls for it. And how is keeping your adult toys in your own bedroom a trap? That's just where you keep them, typically, right? This comment from Miru the Sloth, not the butthole. They're acting like you put a dildo in the cutlery drawer and waited for them to discover it while cooking dinner. It's not a trap, it's just another drawer in your bedroom. Yes, that's true, but that conjures to mind the mental image of like a house. Of like a housewife in the kitchen making a sandwich and spreading mayonnaise over a slice of bread with a big wobbly dildo. And that mental image just made me laugh. Anyways, OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes because you are completely right and completely justified. I'm giving your mother-in-law 2 out of 5 buttholes. I'm also giving your husband, let's say 1.5 out of 5 buttholes, because in this story, you did nothing wrong and he's attacking you just because his mom's feelings were hurt, which is completely unfair to you. Am I the butthole for not telling my dad that I canceled our hotel reservation after he insisted on taking my stepsister? I'm a 17-year-old girl, and my parents divorced 10 years ago because my dad cheated on my mom. He married the other woman who had 2 kids, my stepsister Julia, who's 17, and my stepbrother Josh, who's 14. Even though my dad cheated, their mom didn't because their dad had already passed away. Before that, I was a total daddy's girl. I adored him and I was glued to his hip. My mom encouraged me to maintain a relationship with him after they split. His new family never paid much attention to me. They weren't mean, they just weren't nice either. At first, I always had to share my dad with them whenever I visited. If we went hiking or fishing, they had to come. If we went to the movies, had dinner outside or anything, they had to come. I remember that I used to cry at night because I couldn't understand. This stopped when I turned 15 because I wanted to do something special with just my dad, and when he said that we should invite my step-siblings, I just broke down crying, asking him why he never wanted to spend time with me alone. We had a long talk when I got to vent about how awful I felt, just sitting there waiting for him to turn his head to notice me because I tried to talk or have his attention. Then my step-siblings would interrupt while ignoring me, and my dad apologized. After that, we would spend more time one-on-one, and there were just very few instances with all of us together. I won't lie, I really enjoyed it. I could finally talk to my dad and do fun stuff and be around him without having to wait for my step-siblings to stop talking. Julia and I will be graduating this summer. I got an early acceptance to my college of choice, and when I told my parents, both decided that I should do something to celebrate. My mom and I will be having a getaway weekend to the spa, and my dad said that he would take me to the beach. I was honestly really excited, so I offered to pay for the hotel reservation because I wanted to feel mature. My dad said no to that a bunch of times, but I ended up convincing him. We were supposed to leave today, but when he came to pick me up, my stepsister was there. He said it was a surprise because both of his girls were graduating, and apparently she begged him to come with us, and he agreed, saying that she could get his bed and he would sleep on the floor between us. I could feel my eyes burning, and I told him that this wasn't the deal. He tried to convince me, but he ended up leaving with her. In my rage, I called the hotel to cancel the room, and I didn't tell my dad. When they arrived, he tried to check in, and when he couldn't, he called me. I only said, "Yeah, I canceled it," and hung up. He sent me a long text apologizing, and my mom said that what I did wasn't okay and that I owe them an apology. Apparently, they're on their way back because they couldn't find a hotel. Okay, so you had this heartfelt conversation with your father about how you feel like your step-siblings are interfering with time with your father. And he responds by sneaking his stepdaughter into a vacation that you're paying for, even though you expressly told him, no, she can't come. I should point out, I don't know if she said this in the original post, but OP clarified in an edit down below that yes, he did ask if she could come beforehand and she specifically denied it, but he showed up anyways with a stepsister as a surprise, she gets to come anyways, sort of like manipulation. So, like OP, you set very clear boundaries, very clear expectations. Then you're paying for the vacation and your father decides that's the time to trample on your boundaries and expectations? No, OP, you are completely not the butthole here. You had every single justification to cancel that vacation. Like, yeah, Julia's graduating too, and if he wants to celebrate with Julia, then he should do that. He should do that on a separate day, a separate celebration with just him and his stepdaughter. He shouldn't insult you, disrespect your gesture, your money, by bringing her along to your vacation. Now that's really, really douchey. In my opinion, fundamentally, your father is emotionally abusing you because he's showing favoritism towards his new family over his old family very, very clearly, which is disgusting, unforgivable in my opinion. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your father 4.5 out of 5 buttholes. I'm also giving Julia, I think, 0 out of 5 buttholes because it isn't really clear if she did anything wrong. If she knew that you didn't want to come and she twisted her dad's arm into forcing him to let her come anyways, then yeah, she deserves let's say 2 out of 5 buttholes. But I'm gonna guess, based on how douchey your father is, that she just didn't know and he lied to her. Am I the butthole for ransacking my boyfriend's apartment? I'm a 25-year-old woman, and I've been with my boyfriend, Jake, who's 34, for 8 months. Things were fine until I moved into his place a couple of months ago, against my better judgment. Since then, he's been getting kind of possessive and protective. I immediately told him to cut it out because it's off-putting, and things seem to get better. Anyway, I have a friend in Mexico who's getting married. I've been excited to fly down for her wedding since she told me that she was engaged a year ago. However, Jake has made it clear that he does not want me to go. He says that Mexico is too dangerous, even though I've been there many times and even lived there for a year, speak Spanish, have friends there, and know my way around. No matter what I say, he doesn't want me to go. Then, a couple of days ago, my passport went missing from my nightstand. I'm supposed to go tomorrow, so I wouldn't have time to get a new one. I looked everywhere, no luck. When I asked Jake about it, he behaved a little suspiciously, but I dismissed it because I couldn't believe that he would actually take my passport to keep me from going. But he's been giving me some red flags, so I decided to have a thorough look around. When he went out this morning, I started going through everything. As I searched, I became increasingly certain that he took my passport. I started off carefully picking through drawers and cabinets, but as my anger grew, I became a lot less careful. I started turning out drawers, pried open a briefcase, and made a total mess, but I found it. It was behind some books on the bookcase in his study. I never go into his study, so he definitely put it there. Now, he's furious with me for going through his things and ransacking the place. He said that he would have given my passport back and that there's no need for me to, quote, go crazy. I'm just angry that he took it to begin with, and I don't believe him when he says that he was going to give it back. This is only my third serious relationship, and I have no perspective on this kind of thing. Am I the butthole for overreacting and ransacking my ex-boyfriend's place? Oh, OP, I'm so relieved to read that last line where you say ex-boyfriend. I was about to say, OP, this is like a red flag. You need to recognize that it's a red flag because this is really manipulative and controlling behavior, but it is such a relief to have someone who actually understands, like, okay, this is not okay, time for me to GTFO. Nah, OP, you are completely justified here. This guy literally stole from you. He stole your passport, and like more accurately, he was trying to steal your vacation. Theoretically, you took time off work, you bought plane tickets, you bought a hotel room. So all that money that you spent to go on this trip, your boyfriend was effectively stealing from you, right? And then just on top of that, the controlling, manipulative, gaslighting behavior is just super toxic, super toxic. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. You were completely justified in searching for that passport. Your ex-boyfriend gets 3 out of 5 buttholes. My guess is that your boyfriend was scared that if you went to Mexico, you would hook up with a local there. So I think it's about time that you make his fears come true. That was rSlash the Butthole, and if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.